session we're looking at Stumperies, a really popular feature in Victorian time, and if you've been to places like Biddulph Grange or even Prince Charles's garden over in Highgrove, you'll know all about Stumperies. Just often old sweet chestnut stumps or whatever you can gather together, and they've got these beautiful shapes on them, and the way that the bark, it's almost like the way the grain of the wood twists and turns, and it's the ideal place to plant plants like aspleniums and cyclamen and bulbs, and even the odd forget-me-not or verbascum or digitalis popping out, growing out the middle of them. So here we are, we're going to take a look, and maybe you might want to build a stumpery in your own garden. There's some fantastic plants for stumperies. Look at these lovely horse chestnut stumps, and there we go, the asplenium scolopendrium. In the background we've got some lovely anemones, we've got some anemone blanda there, lovely blue colour windflowers, and as we move along the stumpery, there's one or two celandine just sticking out there as a digitalis that's just fallen away. Lovely brunnera there just in front of that stump, and as we go around we've got some beautiful erythroniums which will be coming through, which will be nice. But just look at the stump on that beautiful shape with the lovely moss that's growing out of it. In the background we've got some leucasium. Look at them, beautiful. Look at that stump on that, absolutely fantastic. Even a little foxglove there growing on the right hand side. There's some more erythroniums, and look at that detail on that stump is absolutely brilliant. Really nice there. And here we've got Hamamelis just gone over, and this is a new introduction at Hardwick Hall. They're doing some great work here. Lovely, look at that, really planted very, very well indeed, very impressed. And we've got cyclamen, of course, hedrifolium in one or two, some disantra in the background of that one. But this has been really well set out. A few narcissus, of course, lovely sertonium there, fern, fortunii type, a few dryopteris, lots of bulbs smutted in here, and it really does look good. And they've got the heights good as well, it builds up really nice. In this garden we created a garden based on Highgrove, and it won a gold medal at Harrogate Show. And of course we had to have a stumpery down the left hand side, and to show off some of the plants and the Windsor pots just in front of it, and the sustainable roof. There was also, of course, a wall of gifts at the back. Not quite as impressive as Prince Charles's garden at Highgrove. Students brought their empty beer bottles and different things, and we built them into our wall of gifts. Stumps, and they've banded lots of poles together to make some very interesting features to provide interest in the winter. Let's have a look at them. Yeah. And then going on a bit further, you've got this incredible stumps turned up. It looks like, you know, a big sort of shark or something's dived into the water, or a whale or something, and they look really good, those fan sort of stumps. And this is a little bit more traditional there, just needs a bit more planting actually, with hellebores and polystichums and euphorbias, and that would start to look really good. And then of course don't forget benches and places for people where they can sit. And now we're getting some really lovely stumps. Plenty of Dicksonias up the back. We've got some Trachycarpus as well, making it look interesting. But just look at that sort of nest of logs and branches, and it makes a really interesting feature, especially when you got those spirally ones in there from the sweet chestnut. As we spin round to the left, we've got a grove of Dicksonia antarctica just moving around in the wind, and they look really good. And just above the Mahonias we've got some Aurelias, and spinning round a magnolia with a very nice stump underneath it. And here we've got some shuttlecock ferns, some Achusia Struthiopteris, there's a little sort of weed in there, Enchanter's Nightshade. And in the next garden we created a stumpery in a garden called Journey to Hope. This was to show how people with multiple sclerosis, the problems that they have, including of course difficulties with the nerves. The stumps in this garden represent the nerve endings and the incredible pain that people with MS have to suffer. And so the garden started off with everything being fine, and then they went across the bridge of diagnosis. The paving starts to crack, the plants become more thistle-like and more spiky, and then of course the stumpery with those man-made stumps and also wooden stumps to create that image. So sometimes stumperies are used in a symbolic way. So here's a little stumpery collection of all sorts of bits of wood, and it creates this beautiful habitat pile, and all sorts of spiders and ground beetles and bees will love it in here. Beetles will just make their habitat in there and come and gather insects in and out. So it's an ideal place to create a habitat pile to encourage wildlife into the garden. One of the big pluses of a stumpery. Of course, in some of the bigger stumperies you can really celebrate one of your famous trees that you've known for a long while. A few other good plants for stumperies include this lovely Arum maculata metallicum. Really good, strong variegation there. Of course, we've got Daphnes not too far away. Hellebores are good. Euchera can be used to give you a little bit of contrasting colour. You can see more of those lovely bulbs, the Leucotium there, the little white flowering bulb there. Lots of good things. And then on the ground you've got here more hellebores. We've got anemones, blue anemones. You've got the stinking hellebore here, Helleborus foetidus, and then just behind it is the wood rush, Lugula sylvatica, little grassy thing just been behind. So all these are good plants for a stumpery. Some nice China doxas here, the lovely blue and white bulb just finishing up now. And just going over is a nice stand of Narcissus February Gold. It's one of the early flowering narcissi. Seeing this stumpery, it's early days, but again it's just a collection of old laurel wood, nothing really special, but it will certainly attract the wildlife. And when it's planted up with polypodiums and you've got Dryopteris and different things in there, suddenly it will look really good. Sometimes with a stumpery people leave the fibres on and all sorts of different things, and they're quite a good entrance too. In this case, a woodland walk. You can just about use anything for stumperies. There's all sorts of old roots in here, and you don't have to have a big old sweet chestnut root, even though it does look fantastic, like Prince Charles's does. But a gnarled one like this with a lot of character adds interest, but equally lots of little bits and pieces as bits of conifer and all sorts of things in this one. And they still add a nice interesting area. They make an interesting microclimate, of course. You've got a sunny side on the back, you've got a slightly shady side, and in here you can see that you could use plants like Ophiophogon coriensis, the green Ophiophogon, or Lyriop muscari with that lovely purple flower that it has, and it makes quite an interesting feature, but a fantastic habitat pile as well. So why not have a go, make a stumpery, and we'll see you next time.